Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana Market update video. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of August. We are one day away from Shimmering Skies big box retail release. Very excited to see how that is going to affect the market. We are also heading into the Toronto Challenge this weekend, which is also going to be very exciting. This will be, I believe this format is no Shimmering Skies yet because it hasn't been out for 3 weeks, but it's also after the Bucky ban. So interested to see. It's kind of a weird meta where the Bucky discard deck not going to be relevant, but we don't have the Shimmering Skies influx yet. So probably going to be a lot of, I would guess, Blue Steel or like Sisu on Ice type stuff. No Naveen for Steel Song, but obviously Steel Song is already pretty good anyway. So very interesting meta. Excited to see what happens there. Good luck to everyone who will be traveling. But apart from that, I'm very excited for the big box retail release for Shimmering Skies. It's always nice when you're out shopping with the fam or whatever, running errands, to be able to pick up a couple packs while you're at Target. So that's nice. Excited for that. Hopefully your LGSs have taken advantage of this 2-week grace period they get of selling product by themselves, and now it's going to flood the market. So interested to see how this impacts our singles, our enchanteds, everything for Shimmering Skies. We should see some, as more supply hits the market, you would imagine we're going to see some price decreases. Over time, some of these playable cards often see their prices continue to gradually increase. So we'll be very interested to see what happens with the Clarabelle, the Naveen, Mufasa, some of these more playable cards. What happens to them here as the supply hits the market? Can the strength of the meta outweigh the increased supply here? First thing we're going to look at today is some of the sealed stuff, guys. Booster boxes are in a very similar spot to last time we looked at it. You do have some first chapter available here for $218 all in. You've got about essentially a case between the two listings that each have 2 boxes listed. And then you have 10 here for Tau Tech. It looks like they've got 10 available at essentially $223. I'm not really sure where this influx is coming. I have one of the discount or not discount, but availability bots that I follow on Twitter. It's called like Disney Lorcana Restocks. They announce anytime there's a restock available of the first chapter, and those have been going off nonstop on Amazon at MSRP. And so I'm curious, they get bought out instantly. It's never like a huge quantity. But I'm just curious if these are people who like have those bots that essentially just anytime they see that, they go out and buy it instantly. Because anytime, I've never been able to get one. I try every time and I'm always too slow. They literally sell out instantly. But I'm curious if these are people who have those bots. They get them for 143 or 150, whatever it is, and then immediately just flip it onto the market. I'm not sure, but there has been a lot more of those over the last couple of days than ever in the past, really, in terms of like this many in such a short amount of time. So I don't know if that has a little bit to do with it. I'm not sure. You can see the demand is waning a little bit here for the August 11th to August 13th, which is, as of 10 days ago, there was only 9 boxes sold in a 2 to 3 day time frame there. It did bounce back. We had 29 and 43. But it seems like we're in a little bit of a lull here with today there's only been 1 sale, and then yesterday there was only 5. So we are definitely slowing down a little bit. Now when you look at the 20th, there was like 1 million. But as we get into the week here and I guess demand just waning a little bit in terms of just the sheer volume of sales. I wouldn't say the demand waning probably isn't the right verbiage there, but there's just less sales over the last couple of days, which comes in waves. But you can get some decently priced boxes of the first chapter right now at a decent clip. When we look at the expected value of these boxes yesterday, first chapter was at about $203, $204, and that's being driven a lot by the rush meta that's happening between the Lilo, the 1-drop Lilo, the 1-drop Maleficent, plus first chapter has the Enchanteds that are pretty decent price, and it's got some of the other good legendaries like Rapunzel Gift with Healing. So overall, the first chapter, it's still in a really good spot to open if you want to get it. If you can get it at 218, Maybe you have some TCG credit. Maybe you can get it on TikTok or somewhere else with a little bit of a coupon or something. Your expected value on that box is still over $200, so a decent spot to open it if you can get it at a good rate. The expected value for Floodborn is $112. Inklands is $105. Ursula's Return is down at $73. And then Shimmering Skies is at $125. So interested in a couple things there. Ursula's Return just remains incredibly low. $73 expected value. Cheapest box on the market is $88.99 plus $9 shipping. So I mean, you're looking at a $100 box still. Nowhere near the return of what some of the other boxes are. So I would still, in my opinion, and my framework on this is always, I like to open packs. It's a lot of fun, something we do as a family, but I always want to try and make it as profitable as possible. If we're going to spend the money on the product, want to try and get back as much value as possible. Right now, I think if you can get a decent rate on the first chapter, Floodborn, Inklands, or Shimmering Skies, I think you're fine in terms of like opening. Obviously, never going to be a win-win or a complete 100% winning proposition, but at the end of the day, those are decently priced compared to what you're going to get back, hypothetically. But with Ursula's Return, it's just nowhere near. Like, I would probably only open Ursula's Return right now if I was getting them for about $70 a box. The value in those boxes is just so low. That set was just, in terms of the Enchanteds, it was not a fan favorite. And then in terms of playability, especially with the Bucky errata error really impacting Diablo's usage in some of those decks, we've seen that Diablo come down quite a bit as well. I was selling Diablos for $50. Now it's down around $30. So we've seen some pretty significant declines there as it relates to that legendary. But Shimmering Skies is what's really on my radar, because right now at $125 a box, that's very, very good expected value. Now we're getting ready to hit big box retail release, so we're going to see an increased supply here, and I'm very curious to see what that does to the buying pressure for this particular set. It's definitely going to drop it down. Now, is that 125 going to go to like 100 overnight once we get big box retail and people start opening packs? Is it going to take a couple weeks? Is it going to maintain in like the 110 to 120 range? I think Shimmering Skies is an awesome set. It's got a ton of meta cards. It's got some awesome collectability with those Enchanteds and how they redid the artwork. The legendaries add some collectability to it. I think they're increasing their marketing and their exposure to this set. So I think overall, Shimmering Skies has a lot better potential than Ursula's Return did, to kind of stay in a decent range. If I had to guess, I would say it'll probably get down to as low as 100. I'd be too surprised if we see it drop that much lower than that. So that's about $25 difference. But that's why, like, these first couple of weeks of a set coming out, especially when it's a hit like Shimmering Skies, it just makes so much sense to open, because a lot of the LGSs now have the boxes at like 109, maybe 114, 119. Expected value at 125. That just makes a ton of sense, and I've seen people even getting them for $90 a box through like some like subscription style things and whatnot, through LGSs. So obviously at that point you're getting to open packs for adding cards to your collection, and you're even possibly breaking even or coming out on top, after setting some cards aside, which is always my goal when I'm opening packs. So that's kind of where we're at from like an opening perspective. Open whatever you want. My advice right now would be, if Ursula's Return, you have some cards in there you want, buy the singles. Don't open the packs unless you can get them at a very cheap rate. Like I said, around like, I mean, honestly, like mid 60s to low 70s would be my price target for an Ursula's Return booster box right now if I were to open it myself. Beyond that, I think anything is kind of fair game. There is a decent price, I think. It's got quite a bit of shipping out, $25 shipping. So essentially $345 for a couple Into the Inklands cases right now. And Inklands is about $105 a box expected value, so that's not a bad rate. You're getting at about $420 expected value on that box. Case is running about $345, so there is some margin there for that one seller on that particular box. I personally, Inklands is the set that I've opened the most of, because some of those discount deals that happen are the discounts on TikTok, on Amazon, all the various sales that happen with Into the Inklands. I've opened more Into the Inklands than anything. I've got a lot of the Enchanteds. I've got play sets of everything all the way through. So I don't really personally want to open any more Inklands, but that is definitely a good product. If you are looking to open some, that $345 for a case is very fair, especially when you especially when you think about the expected value. Now, keep in mind, anything you buy on TCG Player is most likely going to be shipped out pretty much instantaneously at this point for Shimmering Skies, since pre-release was our pre-sale was through essentially tomorrow. Things I would imagine you'll probably get some stuff tomorrow. You might even get some stuff today, but definitely in the days following, you'll start to get a lot of your Shimmering Skies pre-orders. If you did pre-order anything on TCG Player, because they are supposed to wait until tomorrow technically to ship it out, but I think as long as they wait and it gets to you around today or tomorrow, they're probably fine. But overall, that's kind of where we're at with the sealed stuff, guys. I did want to point out, I wish that price was right, the $52 there. The lowest Disney 100 collector's box on the market is $63 essentially all in. This is a product that I'm a huge fan of, especially for new collectors. If you're looking to put a little bit of money into Lorcana, open some packs, get some cool cards, I think this is a fantastic way to start. $60 essentially, right? That was the MSRP when it came out, so it hasn't seen a huge price increase. This is from set 2, where if you keep in mind, a lot of the stuff from set 2 as it comes to booster boxes is really starting to level out, get back to MSRP or higher. This gives you a chance to get 6 alt arts, right? You get an Elsa, a Stitch, a Maui, Maleficent, Mickey, and the Genie. You get all of those in an alt art. It's a very cool card. They've got a Disney 100 promo at the bottom or logo at the bottom. So they're very unique in that sense. The Maui, fun fact, is one of the hardest cards to grade in Lorcana. There's only about 300 PSA 10s. It gets a gem mint rate about 15% of the time, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a card that can be very valuable if you're into the grading side of things. Now, obviously, if you send in 10, the likelihood that you get a 10 is 1. Your likelihood you're going to get how many 10s is 1 out of 10. So there's not a huge amount of odds there. But that is just something else that's included in this. But then apart from the cards, which the cards add up to about $40 to $45 in value if you just price them out individually. So you can even open it, sell some. The Elsa is the majority of that. I think she's around 15 to $20. But beyond that, you even get the opportunity that comes with 4 Rise of the Floodborn packs. So you get 4 packs out of set 2, which I think they're around like $6 a piece right now anyway. So you do get a lot of value from this particular box. And I consider those, even though they're not sleeved boosters, I kind of put them in the same realm as sleeve boosters since they're printed and put into this product during staging. It's kind of like a sleeve booster. It's not like you're buying a loose pack from someone who opened a box, pulled an enchanted and 4 legendaries, and now they've got 12 packs left. They're like, well, I'll just sell these off to help recoup some of the price since I already pulled everything. These are a lot different since they're sealed in coming from the factory. So I just think that product makes a lot of sense. I'm a huge fan of it. With that being said, let's move over to some of the singles here. We did see some sales on the Stitch come up. So there were some like light played $2.99 Stitches listed between yesterday or 2 days ago, yesterday and today. We saw light played go for $3.49. And the lowest on the market is $3.50. There is a near mint for $3.60, but this card is got quite a bit of wear. You can see here it's got some hollow foil shining through, which is very common with these Stitches. And then I think on the back it even had, oh, there it was, I think it had some yeah, the bottom left corner looks like it might have some sort of wear tear there. Bottom right as well. So definitely not a 10 by any stretch of the imagination, but still a really cool card. But we are starting to see that bounce back. This is, once again, I've said it. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. This is going to be one of the most collectible cards in Lorcana. PSA 10 count, I think, is still like in the 300s, and it's the first trophy card ever awarded. Very hard to grade. I've said it a million times. Huge fan of this card. Right now, your best shot at maybe a 10 would be this near mint listing, because I really doubt DBS CCG seller this copy is gonna get a 10. I would you'd have to catch a grader on a good day for that one. Apart from that, guys, it looks like our the D23 collector's box is back up to 210 with shipping. Very interested to see how this continues to play out. We see some come in at 185. Obviously, this is going to be a huge like Grail collector's item moving into the future. Not as much as the original, right? Completely separate. There's way more of these out on the market, but it's still going to be a very collectible item. Now, with Ravensburger, I think this is going to be a very interesting, test, whatever. We're going to have to see what they do here, because they have historically kept a lot of promos on hand. So when people who go to like challenge events and things like that, they can redeem their tickets to get promos from events that happened in like say 2023. So I'm curious how many of these they have printed and are just like off to the side and they're going to use for events to come. My guess would be it's going to be quite a bit. And so curious to see how this performs over time. Once again, I think it bottomed out at around like 170, 180. And like I said, I thought that price was very fair. I don't know how quick this thing's going to move. It's obviously extremely collectible, and it is a limited item in the grand scheme of things. So I'm a big fan of it long term. But at the end of the day, I don't know in the short term what we're going to see here. Is it going to continue to slowly move up? We're going to see an influx. How is it going to react, etc. But that's where we're at for that particular box. I did want to look at some of the Shimmering Sky singles here. Looks like Mufasa still the kingpin. Only 10 listings for Mufasa at 213. This is where we need to see that additional supply hit the market. Still selling very very consistently here in this mid 205 range. Then we have Prince Naveen at 150, Snow White at 140, Clarabelle at 135. Clarabelle did get up to about 150, 160 if I'm not mistaken, either yesterday. Yeah. One sold for 220. We had 150. That 220 sale, that's got to be fake. 150, 160. I had mentioned in a previous video, if you guys recall, this is the enchanted that we pulled, and I've never sold a raw enchanted. Any enchanted that I sell, I essentially grade. It gets a 10, and then I'm willing to sell it at that point to get the premium to then buy more raw. But this is one that I was going to be willing to part with. I listed it for 190 when it was going up. Once they started selling around like 150, 160, 170, I listed it for 190. Wasn't obsessed with getting rid of it, but I figured someone's willing to pay 190 for it, then sure. And now it's dropped back down to 135, so it doesn't look like that one is going to sell. But we are starting to see some of these prices even out. I think we're going to see Prince Naveen and Clarabelle, maybe even Robin Hood and definitely Mufasa. Mufasa is the double-edged sword. It's got the playability and the collectability. It's one of the best cards that's ever been printed. Prince Naveen is more the playability. Same with Clarabelle and Robin Hood. Not that their arts aren't good, but I think Mufasa is definitely the chase of this set. So he's going to see the biggest bump, hence why there's only 10 listed. When you look at like Snow White 52, there's a reason for that, right? There's a pretty similar to equal amount of supply on the market, but at the end of the day, the Mufasa is just the chase card, and so it gets the buy pressure. But interested to see what these do over the coming weeks as more supply hits the market, and it does look like Snow White is starting to equal out to her other enchanted here. I want to take a look at that really quick. Snow White is at 118, so she's still a little bit below. What's a near mint look like? 130, so pretty similar in price. I was very curious to see if that Snow White was going to outpace the original version. We haven't seen that yet. Doesn't look like it's going to happen here, because once that supply increase happens, we're probably going to see Snow White drop down from the 141 to maybe the mid 100 range. Some of our Ursula's Return enchantments are so cheap right now. That's why I'm such a huge fan of just buying those singles. If you guys think back to the person who bought that Minnie Mouse, the very first Minnie Mouse that was ever sold the day of Ursula's Return release, that person spent $699 or $799 for Minnie Mouse. Currently worth $69. So a lesson for all of us. Wait on any of these enchantments that we like. The prices are most likely going to continue to come down. I am surprised at how quick some of these are dropping, like Royal Tantrum down to 59 already. I mean, we're talking like some of these are going to get like sub 40 in my opinion, and we are starting to see that with even some of the Ursula's Returns. I think that our boy Pete, poor Pete, and he's obviously Rise of the Floodborn, down to 45. So, bad guy Pete, just nobody likes him. He's been the redheaded stepchild forever. You got some set one legendaries above him. We got locations above him. We got all sorts of stuff above him. But nevertheless, it's once again, and it's been like this for a few months, guys, just an amazing time to be a collector. If you're looking to add an alt art to your collection, I mean, you've got the world is your oyster in terms of what you want to pick up and what you want to add to your collection, whether that's through opening packs at a decent like expected value clip, or that's going out and buying the singles that you like from some sets that weren't printed as heavily, like set 2. You can get a Prince Arthur for 67. Decently playable card, very cool art. A lot of the set 2 cards grade very, very harshly. They have lower pop counts than a lot of the the set 2, in my opinion. And this is just based on knowing that the chapter 1 reprint happened, knowing that by the time set 3, set 4, and set 5 came, the game had gained a lot of popularity. I feel like set 2 is definitely the least printed set, and so that's a target for me long term. Just having some set 2 on hand, whether that's sealed and singles. Obviously, I've talked about the Cinderella before. I think that along with the Stitch, this is one of the most collectible cards in Lorcana. The Ballroom Sensation card, it's playable, it's a gorgeous art, it's one of the, if not the most iconic IP within the series, and it grades very, very poorly, or harshly, shouldn't say poorly, but a PSA 10 copy is going to command a significant premium, in my opinion, in the future. And so, you know, we're sitting at $242 for a near mint copy. I think market price is around like $250, maybe $260. Let's see here, $254 for the market price. Like I said, lowest listing $238. I think that's a fantastic purchase. There's probably legitimately like half of the Cinderellas than some of the other, like when you think about like Elsa versus Cinderella, there's literally probably half of the Cinderellas out there, if not less than there is of the Elsas. We do still have some near mint Elsas available for $700, but you know, kind of a sketchy, not sketchy seller, but just 0% feedback. So, you know, I would probably take my money elsewhere. Lowest verified is sitting at about $850 for a near mint copy. So looks like there were some picked up on the Elsa for $675 and $700. But those were, like I said, more of those risky sellers just looking to part with it, and you know, fingers crossed you get the product that you purchased there. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for today's video. We've had quite a bit going on with work and whatnot, so posting has been a little bit more spotty. Hopefully we'll get back to a little bit better of a regular rotation soon. Best luck to everyone who is traveling to Toronto for the challenge event. Very, very excited to see how that meta shakes out. And then we get into some of the Shimmering Skies challenges, which is going to be awesome because, you know, how much is the aggro going to control the meta? Are the other decks going to be able to catch up? And how, you know, like some of the matchups that scale, like Sisu on Ice or something like that, is he going to be able to hang around and compete, or is the game going to be over before they can even get to, you know, a big Sisu or something like that? Very, very interested to see what is to come in the future. But with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for me. We will be back with another video soon.